Hello. Hi, Kimberly. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on to the Dappy Hour variety show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I have you on for a few different reasons. One, I know that you are a musician, which is really cool. And two, I know that you like cats, and I know that you also are autistic. So those are a few things that we can talk about today. So I know that you started playing music around the age of 6. Is that right?
Yep. Yes, that's the first time that I saw a little organ in my aunt's house. She had it laying out, and I had never been on any kind of piano or organ, but I saw it and I just started, something came out of me. Like, so it had like a sad overtone, and that was the beginning of Bow Over Down. 6 years old, on an organ, just touching the organ.
That's awesome. It reminds me of, I was probably a similar age when my Nana had this plug-in organ. And I forgot about this till just now, actually. But she had this organ that you plug in and it would rumble, but then you could play notes. So I guess it had a blower. So it was some sort of fan. I don't know what it was, but it sounded really cool. Like, as you say, like an airy sound. I won't be probably saying too much I'll be probably keeping it short. But anyway, just to kind of get into conversation as a normal human does.
Right.
Excuse me. Hello. And so how did you progress your musical interest from there?
Well, after that, I kept tinkering with the piano and different keyboards, and then I started writing poetry. And I think in my house, I grew up in a very stressful house. My dad had mental issues, a lot of depression, a lot of things like that. And somehow along the way, that piano and the words and the vocals was kind of like an escape. So it was an escape from darkness. And that kind of was the way it was through the rest of my life now. It's when I'm at my piano, everything fades away, and no matter what, I'm safe.
That's lovely. That's awesome. I can very much relate to that. So you currently have a new album that you're promoting, is that right?
Right. It's called Lost in the Woods.
What can you tell me about this project? When did you start working on it?
It had been 12 years since my last album. In my project, there's been a lot of people coming and going, and it's always kind of put a damper on things. It got so bad, I just walked away. But my mom had found an old piano. I brought it into my house, and I was like, I'm going to just tinker with this, play around with it. And I went straight back to 6 years old again. And something had to be unleashed. I had a lot of emotion to unleash. And it just kept coming, song after song after song. And I was like, well, whether I know how to program or not, because I really don't, I'm a piano player and a vocalist, I'm going to darn well learn, because that's the only way it's going to get done. So I learned that, and the emotions came, and out came this album.
That's fantastic and very cool. It's really nice to have an outlet for your emotions. How do you feel it helps you?
At that time in my life, I would say if you can visualize the woods at night, and you're with a bunch of people, and let's say they just kicked you in the woods, they kicked you in the middle of the woods and they ran off, and you're like, I have no food, I have no water, I don't know my direction even, I have no sense of where I'm going. That truly was the image of where I was at. And so I think being actually in the woods and giving me that image, and then the emotions, it just clicked. And that album was everything I was feeling at that time, which was like helpless, dark, there's no way out, there's no escape, I'm lost, literally lost in the woods. But I realized I don't have to be lost forever. Even if I'm in the woods, I can find a home there or my way home.
Afraid to dream, afraid to stay.
Good answer. Do you feel that your autism plays a role in the music?
Oh, that is a very good question. I will say that being autistic is the very reason that I just could never give it up, no matter what, because I am very stubborn and I'm very mechanical, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. And, I think if I live to be 80, I'm still going to be on that darn piano because I can't stop what I do. It's like other people can walk away from it, but I can't, because it's like you're taking my oxygen and choking me. And so, no, you're not going to take it away from me. I can get very feisty with that. Yes, on that end, it really does. And probably even the way I make music, it's very laid out, mechanical, this comes first and this comes second. And then it's like, with the creation, it's like, bam, it just, I don't know where it comes from. But when it comes time to putting it on the computer, it's, has A, B, C, D. You can't jump to C without A,
Yeah.
So that's definitely, it's all around. Even the style, I'm sure my singing style is the mode of it, the way it's like, okay, this is coming. It is, definitely.
Kimberly, I know that you are autistic. Can you tell me what that means to you?
If I could create an image, I used to say when I was little, I feel like I'm in a bubble or a box. And there's people outside that bubble in the box, and I'm speaking to them, but they're not hearing me. So it must be because I'm in a bubble or a box. And I kept repeating that over and over again. I'm not going to say that I really feel loneliness being in the bubble or the box, because I'm not sure I need that connection really, but it's definitely when I'm trying to speak and have people understand me, it's frustrating because like, do you hear me? Like I must be in a bubble or a box because you're not getting it. Or people think I'm angry sometimes, like stop yelling, calm down. You don't want to tell me to calm down. I hate that. But don't tell me to calm down. Yeah, I don't like that. So yeah, it's like a different world, a different galaxy, alien on the wrong planet. It definitely is.
I very much relate to that. When were you diagnosed?
This is going to be really interesting because even though I grew up with everybody knowing something was different and my mom kept taking me to different doctors, they kept misdiagnosing me. And so I've had like at least a dozen, if not more, diagnoses over my years. It wasn't until my son was born and he's on the spectrum and I saw similarities that I went and got tested by an expert. And this was like maybe 12 years ago, something like that. Or not 12, he's 10. My time frame is so bad. Okay, so he's 9. So I would say like 7 years ago. Yeah, there we go with my time frame. My last interview, I'm talking 1992 to somebody that's like 20 or 1994. I was doing music in 1994, but he wasn't listening. But yeah, okay. So about 7 years ago, they said, yep, you're on the spectrum. And it made sense. I was like, okay, finally. Yeah. Yep.
How did your family handle that sort of information?
They really didn't digest it. And I think there is this concept of what autism looks like or an autistic person looks like. And, no two are the same. So it's like they have this thing that we do certain things and behave certain ways. And if you don't fit that guideline, and this is the same way with a lot of doctors, like, so if you don't fit this certain criteria, it's like they blow it off. And I think my family's like, yeah, we hear it, but they kind of don't even digest, It's like, oh, she's just awkward, she's shy, she's strange. Those things that I grew up hearing actually over and over. So she's a weirdo. So you know how it goes.
Absolutely. I know. I feel sometimes there are kind of people who try to be more polite and say, no, you don't have this because you're just these things that I recognize better. Or some people who are less polite who say, you don't have this, but still call you bad names regardless, because they do see that you are very different and they don't like that. So Kimberly, I know that you happen to share another interest with me besides music and autism. Speaking of hairless, hair in my mouth, hairless cats or Sphynx cats. Can you tell me when you got interested in them?
Yes, I have 2 obsessions, actually. The first one is chickens, and I have 25. I've got chicken stuff all over my house. It's all about chickens with me. I'm like a farm girl. I'm like a dark electronic farm girl, okay? When I'm not doing music, I'm on the farm. But I love my birds. I squeeze them and hug them. But then this other obsession came. I saw the hairless cat, and there's something with the hairless cat. It reminds me of my profile. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I look a little bit like the hairless cat. Now, I know the popularity of these cats have grown and they're expensive. But see, now with people, I wish that would happen with people, because when people are different, right, or they're unusual, we don't get that respect. The cat is so expensive and loved, but humans that are unusual don't really get that. I wish they did. But I love the cat for the very reason that I never thought people would like the cat, but I just find it so unusual and so unique and so different from what we normally find beautiful. And that's what I find beautiful in human beings, that uniqueness, that flaw, that beauty, that thing that most people say, well, that's ugly. No, it's not ugly. It's beautiful. And that's what makes beauty.
Very good answer. Awesome. One last question. Where can people find your music?
The best place to find my new album is Bandcamp. So just look up Bow Over Down, Lost in the Woods, Bandcamp.
Thank you so much for being on, Kimberly.
And thank you. This was so much fun. It was really delightful. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Yay.
Oh, there's another chicken.
I love him. I want to get a lot of the chicken video. That's really cute. I love it. And it goes well with your really cool scenery. We have a kind of similar sort of theme in some degree.
Yep.